The first thing you should know about my friend Mrs. Filholm is that she's probably not invited to my wedding anymore. The next thing you should know is that it's not because of anything Mrs. Filholm did or didn't do. In fact, it has nothing to do with Mrs. Filholm. It's just that the world is a different place today than it was when Delaney and I sent out the first round of Save the Dates so many months ago. And it's caused a change in our perspective. Mrs. Filholm and the other 100 guests, who will likely be uninvited, are not only dear friends and treasured relatives, but also threat vectors and virus-spreading meatbags. So I guess what I mean to say is that looking at the world through the lens of a pandemic sucks, and I'm salty about it.
The first thing you should know about my friend Andrew is that he's got knife skills. Thanks to his beloved YouTube instructional videos, he can dice and slice and chop and mince with the best of them. He's also got kitchen expertise when it comes to fermenting, baking, and efficient, delicious meal preparation. The next thing you should know about Andrew is that very soon he's going to get some chances to put all those skills to work. My garden is already exploding with zucchini, cabbage, peppers, and herbs. Tomatoes and cucumbers are right behind. Put some putting up the harvest time into your schedule, Mr. Bridges.
Welcome to Half My Age, a weekly show in which a 25-year-old adult and a 50-year-old child help each other make sense of the world. Can I just say how much fun I think it would be to go spend an afternoon at your house slicing vegetables?
Okay, do it. Send it.
That seems idyllic right now.
I found my knife sharpener, so that's a good thing.
Good. I had that in follow-up.
Yeah, I did. I did go through, as I said I would, drawer by drawer. I just went, all right. And it was great. I purged, I cleaned. The drawers are knolled again with precision. And I found the damn seventh drawer I cleaned out. I found the damn thing.
Did you put it in that drawer thinking that would be a good idea? Because
no.
when I lose stuff, it's often because I think to myself, this is something that would be very easy to get lost. I should put it somewhere where I'll remember, somewhere obvious. And then I can never, ever for the life of me remember where that obvious place was that I put the thing that I need. That
is what I did with the 10 koozies prior discussed, which is I went, I'll put them someplace really good, and then lost it. Nope. The knife sharpeners was more like what I remembered, which is, what the hell is this thing doing in my house? There's too much stuff for me. Just get it out of the way. I'm tucking it away for now because people are coming, probably. And then it was during the people being here that I couldn't find it. No, it was in a place that it doesn't belong. And as a matter of fact, I have some pretty cool drawers that have the second drawer that pulls out, Mm-hmm. And then there's actually kind of a great place for the knife sharpener to go. And it is a delightful knife sharpener. But anyway, so that's follow-up. I found it. Other follow-up. What's the sitch?
So since we last spoke, Delaney and I have had a couple of heart-to-hearts about our wedding. And we've just been all over the place from... fuck it, we're going to do it. We're going to do it as planned, and people can make their own decisions.
Sure.
All the way to we need to cancel the whole thing and just put off getting married indefinitely. Right. So we walked the gamut. And then this morning, I guess the thing that was really holding us back from making any kind of decision or making any kind of progress was the unknown about what we give up if we cancel the venue, if we cancel the caterer. I get the thing that sparked all these conversations, even before this second round of COVID and infections seemed so like such a big deal. Our photographer canceled on us, so we that kind of opened the dialogue and the conversation. Like if the photographer is canceling, who else is canceling? And from the perspective of the person having the wedding, like I can envision a world where this thing goes off without a hitch because we've got 3 acres and we've got an indoor-outdoor space. If everyone wanted to stand 10 yards apart from each other, we could still get 100 guests in there, no sweat.
Right.
But this morning, Delaney reached out to the venue and the caterer, and they both came back with really favorable terms for cancellation. So, I mean, between this morning when Delaney sent the email and tonight when she gets home from work, I think we're going to make a big decision tonight. And I think, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to honor all the invitations we sent out already.
Sure, we talked about that. Yeah, right. Which everyone, of course, will understand. And that's what we've been talking about, this whole playing chicken with it since the beginning. And then, that doing the triage of, okay, are we going to have to uninvite after we send the invitations? 100 people? So what will you do? Family only, small?
So, I mean, we still have to have that conversation tonight.
Gotcha.
But that's what we've discussed is, immediate family, grandparents, because all our grandparents are local, and that's kind of the grandparent thing has really been driving the decision making, because I all my high school friends, they can come and hang out and we can all get sick together, and that's good. But if I have the death of our grandparents hanging over this wedding, that's a terrible way to start a marriage. Yeah,
and you said those exact words last week, so no kidding. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So you will likely cancel the venue and do it like somewhere else, parents' backyard, something.
So right now we're torn. The venue is a beautiful place, and it'd be a little bit weird if we had the wedding there with only 10 people. But that is something that could make the wedding a lot more special than getting married in a backyard or a public park or something like that.
The other wedding that was canceled for that day, that very same day, remember? Mm-hmm. They did the same thing a few weeks ago and decided to just have family, and they did that. They kept the venue and just went, it won't be that weird. It'll be a beautiful, beautiful location, and there will be food, and it'll just be a lot smaller, but it'll be a lovely dinner party with the people who love us the most.
Right. And that's kind of, I guess that's what I'm working through in my head is, what does this wedding look like if it's only say 20 people, which is siblings and significant others, parents, grandparents. What does it look like? Well, you probably don't need a DJ for that. You could just put an iPod on the speakers. There's all kinds of different things that change. And poor Delaney, she planned the wedding once, and then we moved it, so she planned it a second time.
I know.
And now she's freaking out, understandably, because we're looking about changing the rules and planning it a third time. So
I know it. Good golly, Miss Molly. Yeah, that's really something.
But I can't be more happy about how flexible the vendors are being.
That's great.
That is great. We could have got stuck with, some discount provider who's unwilling to work with us on anything, or even worse, someone who's already declared bankruptcy and there's no chance of getting your money back anyway.
Yeah, no kidding. I know. Yeah, good. Gosh, it's such crazy times, Andrew. It just really still feels so waking up to the same nightmare, every day with a little twist every day, just a little different something to be anxious about, really.
It is. There's always a little twist. And I think in these last couple of weeks, more so than in the beginning of the quarantine, I'm feeling the weirdness of it all and the weight of it all. The people getting kidnapped in Portland is on my mind for some reason. And this is something that I probably wouldn't given a moment's time to previously, but I think the weight of the wedding, the weight of, typical work stuff, the weight of whatever, it all seems to be affecting me a little bit more than it has, or than it normally would.
Yeah, I feel that too. I feel like it's, I'm in the second wave of it. It is not as bad as it was during those very first early weeks. But this job application stuff is just demoralizing. I'm, boy, oh boy, it's a lot of rejection when it comes right down to it. Just haven't found the job.
That sucks.
And a lot of it is also, I did just get one email saying, hey, you made it past the first robot round of this job. For this job. And, probably likely now a human will look at your resume, and that's really encouraging, right? That's one. And I looked back and I sent that, I made that application a month ago. So that's the other thing, right? Is that it feels kind of desperate to me at this point, and like I gotta, oh my God. And then things just naturally take a long time, and things take an especially long time right now.
Right.
And it is, yeah. So I'm feeling that anxiety that is hard to make it go away. Yeah, like harder to fall asleep at night. More vivid sort of dreams about just stupid crap, like forgetting to set my watch when I go up to do a set. I mean, really stupid stuff like that. But there has been a change in my sleep because I'm having more memorable, vivid dreams about really dumb. They're not bad dreams. They're like fretful dreams. That's just funny. That's a change to my sleep. Oh God. Yeah. It's hard to keep. I don't know.
I've got, so
it's scary.
Previously on Half My Age, we talked about how you're a shark, and one of the ways in which you deal with this kind of stuff is you keep moving. You work in your garden, you go for walks, you do all kinds of stuff. And I wanted to, I guess I've been reading a book on and off for the last few months called Ghostwriter, and I think I mentioned it maybe. It's by the former drummer of Rush, and I think he died in the last year. But it's about his journey of grieving when he lost his daughter, and then shortly after lost his wife.
Oh yeah, you did.
And it's this big motorcycle trip he does from Canada to Mexico and back, and that's one of the themes in this book about how movement, whether it's on your motorcycle or on 2 feet or on a bicycle or kayaking or snowshoeing, kind of helped him get through this process. And I noticed from my own, from my logs on my cell phone, like in these last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I've been doing 2-a-day walks. So I'm getting like 7 miles a day. And I can't help but think that that's my body telling me or trying to handle this, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Our brains work better. I mean, I knew it from, I think we've talked about it, when my dad walked in the days before he got really, really, really tragically sick with the dementia. You could tell a marked difference when he was out walking or biking in his language. It would just come. And I mean, that sort of crossing the between the two lobes of the brain, physically helps us. That's a big, I have no words for this right now. It's also a big thing when little babies cross their midline when they touch or hand a toy from the right hand to the left hand, for example. That's a thing that's showing that the brain, that's an action that's showing that the brain is forming in the ways that it should. That's a developmental marker. And science has shown that kind of lasts our whole lives. It's good for our brains. It's good for our brains to walk, to put one foot in front of the other, because it's doing this right to left thing between the brain. Not to mention the exercise, the keeping moving, the Yep. You know what? We've got anxiety. Don't you think we feel it in our bodies? And expelling it via exercise is just naturally healthy, and I think tends to feel intrinsically good to human beings. Go out and take a walk. Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's true.
Have you been getting any more walks recently? Have you?
No, not. I haven't. No, but I mean, in general, like you say, I am just. My mom said today, I saw her this morning, and she said, "You look like you've lost weight." And I don't know if I have or haven't, but for sure I look more fit, and my clothes are fitting better just because I'm moving so much. I mean, like I did that sidewalk chalk installation last week, which was up a staircase.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that?
It's beautiful.
Cool. It was cool.
Big.
But yeah, it was big. And then I was like partway through going, what the heck did I just set myself up for? And it was big, and it was up and down stairs. So stuff like that. You know what I mean? That was like my daily walk with that extra. Oh, it was over an hour for sure.
That
running
also
up
takes,
and down the stairs.
Yeah, the running up and down the stairs part, the connecting the big vision that you have with the individual components, because you can only work on one stair at a time, and you can't necessarily see when you're working on one stair how it ties into the one above it or below it. So you got to go back and get your perspective. Yep. It's a much harder project than it looks. That's
funny, because we've talked about it. Should I get a video of me doing it, because I know it's cool, because I mean, that's just not me. It's anybody designing something. Right. I might lay out the outline of something, and then, exactly that. I had to keep running back to the bottom and going, okay, what does it look like? And then it's a matter of, I'm also because sidewalk chalk is such a funny little medium. It, goes pretty fast. And if I'm doing a big thing like that, I mean, I've set my chalk out so that I know this is my pile of orange chalk, this is my pile, whatever. But I have limited colors, and right now I'm kind of low on supplies. So I really had to do that, like take this one color of orange and make sure it is distributed all the way up the staircase and, in a way that's going to give me
Sure.
the symmetry that I'm looking for or whatever. Yeah, that kind of thing. So it's exactly as you say. It's like stepping back, looking at it as it is when you see anybody work on anything bigger than a piece of paper, right? Any kind of mural. But it also gives me, like, God, today I was this won't surprise you. I was driving and I'm looking over into some construction along I-70, and there's some big, those retaining soundproofy walls that they've put all along the corridor here, and that often have, just pressed into it concrete art decoration. And I appreciate that. I actually like that they've done that in Denver. So this one in particular was just like a bunch of geometric shapes that looked, pretty flat. And then I start going, oh my God, that would be so cool if that was covered in sidewalk chalk, like a big chunk of it like that. Then I'm driving, thinking about this. Okay, I would need a ladder. Okay, I wonder if I could. Okay, that's probably technically trespassing. Who would care? It's insane. I mean, and then I started thinking that's really a big wall, and it's kind of set back right now because it's in a construction zone. So this would be like an installation. Whatever, I'm not going to do it. But it's funny how that's where my mind automatically goes like, that would be a good canvas for some rebel activity, I guess. I've been getting nice feedback about it now, though, that I do it in broad daylight without feeling like a criminal. A lot of people stop and comment, and 11-year-old boys and whatnot. The other day there was a 4-year-old girl and her little 1.5-year-old sister, and they helped.
Oh, that's sweet.
I know.
That's sweet. I wanted to make one note, and I'm putting it in the show notes right now. Those concrete walls you're seeing on the side of the road that have patterns stamped into them.
Yeah.
I learned a little bit about those over the winter. There's a really good YouTube channel. The guy's handle is Practical Engineering, and I think this guy is a civil engineer. And those concrete walls are holding back. They call it mechanically stabilized earth, which is basically dirt with sheets of plastic or metal between them. And this video is almost 8 minutes long, but it's super interesting, and it's basically the stuff that holds up all of our infrastructure is this reinforced soil. So I recommend that if someone's looking to expand their mind a little bit, that they go check out this link in the show notes.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
That sounds interesting. Is there video of big machines moving things around?
I think there might be some B-roll of that, but the title of this video is Sandcastle Holds Up a Car. It's the idea that if the sand, the earth, whatever, isn't allowed to shift outward, it's a lot stronger than normal sand. So it's kind of interesting. Something you don't think about, but you benefit from all the time.
I think about it.
Reinforced soil.
I actually do think about reinforced soil because I've got a little bit of that going on in my backyard in certain places. For example, it's not the same thing, but my garden beds are kind of reinforced soil, and figuring out how to wrap those this year and not turn them into concrete was interesting. Also, I like watching big machinery like a 4-year-old boy. We've talked about it. Today, there's a lot more going on in my front yard. I don't exactly know what. They were doing some more hole digging in the street. Now they're patching with asphalt. They lay sod where they had to cut out in my yard. Yeah. They did the worst job of laying that sod. And I didn't notice that it had been done. And last night, I think it just happened yesterday. And last night, thank God, I went, did they? Oh my God. You need to water the heck out of your sod. Anyway, and you put it in the hottest, oh God. Anyway, I don't have much hope for that sod. But I've been getting to watch a lot of pretty cool equipment machines in my front yard, and then it gets real annoying, like the oppressive. Like there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's hot in this neighborhood. It's summertime. Sure. But I sure do I'll check out that video. That's a good note, Andrew.
It's kind of funny you mention liking trucks, and we have talked about it. But since I guess it was last weekend, the weekend before last, Delaney and I went to see an old friend who had a baby. this baby is now no longer a baby. He's almost 3 years old. And we caught him just before his nap, and he was totally hyperactive. But all he wanted to do, he wanted to watch trucks on YouTube.
Oh yeah, sure.
And it's just a picture of a cement mixer pouring cement, and he loves that.
Loves that. When my kids were little, of course, no YouTube, but we had VHS tapes of that. Like you would buy like construction equipment videos for your kids, and I would take them to construction sites and like stare through the fence that was like an hour of activity when you have a 3 and a 4 year old boy. And maybe girls too. But no kidding. Like just stand there and watch it all. I can't. Everybody feels like that. That's why, when they build construction walkways in big cities and then they put little windows in the plywood so you could peek in and see the machine. That's so nice of them to do. That's really thoughtful.
That is nice. Well, I think if I was retired and I had no kind of expectations of myself, I'd probably fall into that. I'd be sitting in a lawn chair with a glass of tea, watching these buildings go up outside my apartment.
Yeah, because you do have it right out there. Yeah. That would be the perfect Hank Hill. Yeah, pull up your lawn chair with the other guys and watch it. Yeah, I remember in my old neighborhood, the guys, like the old guys on the block, did that. All pulled out their lawn chairs to watch our friend who was younger, get a new garage door. A new garage door was going in. So we sat there and drank beer in the alley and watched it going up. And I suppose, this is where sometimes there's a lot of people who are saying, they want to comment on it. Or, I don't know why they're doing it that way. I don't love that. I, in fact, just watch it and go, it's like a ballet. My mom's getting new windows today, all new windows in her house. So I went up to hang out with her today. It's crazy, just everything going on. It is totally chaotic. Huge crew, lots of windows, lots of noise. And it's very unnerving because there are holes in your house, and then they're putting these windows in and my mom's going, look at the gap around it. What's going on? And I just kept saying, just trust it. These guys for sure know what they're doing. And she got really good windows. And then, they said to her, are you going to rehang your blinds or are you getting new blinds? And she got really aggro because I think she had told it to the salesperson or whatever. I am keeping these blinds. There's no way I'm replacing these blinds. These are expensive blinds. DTT, it needs to work with the blinds. And I said, Mom, he asked you and he said, do you have the bracket so I can measure? Just trust that the blinds are going to work. And she's looking at this going, there's no way those blinds are going to work. Just not making sense. And, funny. So that's funny that some people, they don't enjoy I tend to stand back and watch the magic of it. Remember Jackhammer at Entrance?
Yeah, I sure do. What a classic episode. What a classic episode and what a classic moment in my life where I'm watching the foundation of my house get jackhammered by Jake from the furnace place and watching that furnace get delivered and pieced together and the electrical come and all. Oh my God, it's so fascinating to me, the dance of it all. I like to, you mentioned people who comment on it or your mother who gets into it and worried. Yeah. I like to sit there and think to myself, I wonder why they do it that way. Because
sure.
Like you, I assume that there's a reason for it. Yeah. But I'm also extremely curious, right?
Oh, it's I'll ask them. What are you doing there? What's that you're putting in there? Oh, I ask them. Yeah, they were putting in this tape stuff that my mom was kind of concerned about, and I asked them, and it's a waterproofing thing. Of course it is. When I was leaving, they were painters taping the window frame in the guest bedroom, and that was confusing. And I'm not sure what that was about, but again, they're doing it for a reason, guarantee. And it's one of those crews. Seriously, the choreography. They've got their radio on and they're talking to each other a little bit, but mostly, man, everybody is doing his job and doing it. And boy, it's cool to see stuff like that. That's a well-run little machine. Anyway, and then I just wish I was working on that crew because, they probably get a paycheck. Freaking me out, Andrew. Freaking me out. Freaking me right out. I have had some voiceover work. I have had that little bit of consulting work, which is going well, by the way. We are at a point there where I have gotten to the point where I've almost made myself obsolete in terms of we can stop now. Maybe I'll come back and have some more stuff that they'll want me to do going forward, but maybe not. And that's the good news. And the guy who hired me had a couple of tasks to do before we could go forward. And as I said, I think he took an extra step and put it in a spreadsheet that we didn't need. But you know what? Now it's there now. And great. And it took him quite a long time to get those tasks done. But he owned that, and he kept coming going, sorry, I know we can't move forward. And then finally called me and said, okay, I've done it. So great. And in the process of doing some of that, himself learned the software better, which is cool. Like a couple of the tasks were things like, you have to go in there and look at this for me and please advise. And he's like, when I was in there looking at this one report that I had sent training documentation on so that now he could pull it himself, he's like, I realized there was this other thing. Awesome. I mean, it really has been a great sort of Mary Poppins, come and got the things functioning a little bit more efficiently and empowered people to know that they can do that themselves. Everybody's a little less crazed, and it might be see you later. And that's okay. That's the job I was doing. But, then again, I'm applying for a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I forget how long the cycles are on these job hiring things where, like you said, you submitted an application and didn't hear back for a month. That sucks. But that's the way it is. And I think
it's totally the way it is.
I work on Upwork for the most part, and they've got something on their website that says, don't forget, it takes an average of, 5 days, 3 weeks. I don't remember what the number is for people to hire on Upwork. And I think part of that, is less of an advertisement of how great they are, and just, just so you still have these applications out there. Don't overcommit yourself or something,
Interesting. Yeah. Hey, it's just crazy, and yeah, a little demoralizing, like I said, and a little, I don't know, it just feels futile. I don't mean to be negative. There's better things to talk about.
I actually have something to talk about.
Okay, great.
So our friend Merlin Mann is a lover of Kurt Vonnegut, and he keeps bringing up the ideas of Karasses and Granfalloons. Do you remember in Cat's Cradle what a Karass and a Granfalloon is?
No. Okay. And when is he bringing this up? What are you listening to? Because I haven't heard him say that.
He mentioned it's all very offhand. I think it happens in Roderick on the Line. It happens with Dan Benjamin. Sure.
Jeez, I haven't noticed this one. Okay, carry on.
The idea between a Karass and a Granfalloon, I just got to make sure I got my Wikipedia up. They both describe groups of people, right? And I think I want to get this. I really want to get this right. So give me 1 second,
please.
All right. So this is straight from the Internet Science page, Wikipedia. And the definition of a Karass is a group of people linked in a cosmically significant manner, even when superficial linkages are not evident. So the idea of a Karass is there's substance to this relationship. There may be things holding it together beyond what's immediately obvious. And you contrast that against something called a Granfalloon, which is a false Karass. It's a group of people who imagine they have a connection that does not really exist. An example is the Hoosiers. Hoosiers are people from Indiana, and Hoosiers have no true spiritual destiny in common. So really they share a little more than a name, right? The same is true of communists. The same is true of, all kinds of groups where the people are not actually, Broncos fans, right?
Yeah, exactly. Sports team fans is,
right. That's a Granfalloon.
Religion, yeah.
And I think about this through the lens of you and me, and I think that you are much better at, or you tend to identify your groups as Karasses. I think, like when I look at myself, I think I like guns, but I certainly don't identify with gun owners. I like motorcycles, but I certainly don't identify as a motorcycle rider. I feel like I am almost plagued by Granfalloons, and you
Granfalloons meaning. Tell me which one that is. That's the one of
that's
superficial.
The fake one.
Yeah. You're plagued by them. You just said you have none of them.
Carry
on. What about me? How do I do it? What?
Right. When you left your job and you fell into the comedy scene, I think you immediately felt that you were a part not of a Karass, but rather, not of a Granfalloon, but rather a Karass. Right. You felt like you were spiritually linked with these people from the very beginning, and I think that you're more open and susceptible to the idea that I guess when you join a group, you tend to take it on as a I don't know, lifestyle is more serious than a Broncos fan dressing up for game day.
Right.
You know?
Well, I don't join groups like that very much.
Right. You are much more in tune with the Karass side of things, I think.
Sure. I'm real deep.
You sure are.
Mm-hmm. And in fact, right, so that's funny if we extrapolate out of that, the comedy, those are people where we actually have something in common that you'd think might unite us in a superficial way. We do comedy, we tell jokes, but that is not.
But you feel a much more deep connection with these people.
100%. And that's what I was just going to say is that we all are comics in different ways, and the way that we identify, it's not. Yeah, that's funny because you're right, and it is such a deep and dark and weird thing that we do. That there is a natural. There is something that we have in common that is deeper than we like that band.
Right, and you talk about them. You use the words "my people." These are my people.
And felt it, with theater people. I generally feel like that around creative people, right? For sure. Okay, but now back to you. What are you saying? You're plagued by those. You're saying that you don't. I guess participate in the Granfalloons because you don't go and join the motorcycle identity club.
Sure, I guess I feel pulled or as if Granfalloons were. I bristle against the idea of being identified with a Granfalloon, but I also don't feel that same kind of kinship with any kind of Karass, right? I feel very not alone as in lonely, but I feel very independent, I suppose.
Sure.
And I don't, and I guess this comes up partly because as we look at this guest list, this narrowed down guest list, and we're talking about, okay, so if we've got parents, we've got grandparents, we've got brothers and sisters, who are the like top tier friends that need to be invited,
right?
And Delaney's got her ride or dies, as you call them, and I'm looking at my friends. And I'm like, well, is this one more important than this one? And do we relate on this? Are we friends because we're part of the same group, or are we friends because of some deeper cosmic connection?
Yeah.
Is this a Karass or is this a Granfalloon? Why are we friends? And do I want to risk the lives of my grandparents on this?
Right, on this person. You've really got to be worth it.
Right. And like I said in my open, it's a miserable way to look at the world through the lens of a pandemic where everyone is a virus-spreading meatbag. Exactly.
Right. Also, because then you're putting into the spreadsheet, you're having to do really a Gantt chart that then filters in somehow their actual, what was your fever? What was your temperature, on this day? And how likely actually, when was it? Well, golly, that's sick. Okay, now, so this would be like, even if you weren't downsizing the wedding, you would be making this similar list as your people who stand up with you, maybe wedding party, right? I mean, you have two brothers, so maybe you wouldn't have done that. But technically, that's what this is you're going, who is my trusted group of whatever, 5 to 10 friends? And that's a funny little thing to be weighing. You said that years ago to me that you had more sort of superficial, friends that like more people that you could go hang out with than maybe say one of your brothers, or just for example, then whatever. That was your kind of MO. You had a lot of friends, acquaintance kind of friends, people to go out with, people to hang out with, people to have fun with, and very few, BFF, ride or die, deep, abiding friendships.
I haven't done a good job of focusing on friendships, and all my friendships right now where I sit at 26 years old, self-employed, work from home, isolated guy. Friendships are appointment based, right? So we're especially in quarantine. It's very much, when are we going to see so and so again? Oh, they're a week from Tuesday. We're going to get dinner. Like, it doesn't feel. It feels different.
Sure. Well, right, and like you said, the shutdown has made that even more so because the natural, you might have in the past 6 months, on your daily walk, on your whatever, your daily routines, you might have run into friends or, start to make friends, whatever. Okay, well, you have been focused on one primary relationship for the last few years.
Yeah, that's true. And that's actually, there's a word for that too. Our buddy Kurt, he gives us a word. A Karass of two people is called a Duprass. And that's, you know, a true Duprass when they've been married and they die within a week of each other, right? That was,
my grandparents.
That was a couple of people who were united cosmically, right?
My grandparents, 6 days, apart from each other. And that's something. Okay, interesting. Well, yeah, and so you've been building that one. I mean, this is an interesting thing, like you said, the difference between you and me. On the other hand, I mean, I do not hate. Sorry, not sorry for elevating my status in anyone's life. You know I don't hate that. This right here is a friendship that cannot possibly be based on the superficial things. I mean, yeah, you and I kind of liked our computery things, and we liked fonts and stuff like that. There's
definitely a weird, when I look at the two of us, I don't think you and I occupy any of the same groups, right? Any of the Granfalloon style things, right? So it's certainly a different relationship. I think it's a Karass. I
know that's what I'm saying is there's no doubt about it in my mind that this is one of those like deep enduring friendships. And back in the day when you were more free with your time and we lived closer to each other, we did hang out on a spontaneous basis, you know, much more easily than now. But my very first time out, when the restaurants opened again for the first wave of opening, anyway, my very first night out, I called you. You want to come down? I'm in your neighborhood, right? So like that was my first spontaneous, oh my God, restaurants are open. Let's go sit on a patio and have a beer with Andrew. So there's no doubt in my mind that there are those deep and abiding things. But isn't that funny? Because, that's a weird one.
It is a weird one. And I think you certainly don't need to have this quality to be a Karass, but there's something inexplicable. You know, when someone says, why are you friends with Mrs. Filholm? I'm like, I can't put my finger on like the reason why we're friends, right? There's nothing in particular that says, I suppose we're both curious people. We're both intellectually curious. But we have very few things in common. Truly.
And I mean, I would say in general, we do have a similar sense of humor. I mean, I think that's true, but you know, different comedy amuses us, that's for sure. I know, isn't that funny? Yeah, you know what, I'm thinking about that. Because amongst the comics being my people, it has also been proven in the past year and even months, there's a lot of drama in that scene, and not all of them are my people. You know, they're like the family I get to choose, and I don't choose all of them. And there's a lot of, they're not all my people. But I think about that. You know what I'm thinking of right now in terms of Karasses? The people who were at my father's funeral.
Yeah, sure.
It is an interesting collection of people, some new friends, some old friends, obviously some family, a lot of family, but seeing those faces and going, yeah, a lot of that is Karass and you don't know what it's exactly about. But yeah, funny. See, so that's the other thing though, is that when you are investigating, what the hell? Why did I just lose it? I was going to do that, John, interrogating. When you're interrogating, this idea of what relationships are and what value they are, and right, especially because each of you is a disease-ridden, you know, petri dish,
a virus-spreading meatbag. That's what we should have named our podcast if only we had known.
Or your wedding. It could be the theme of your wedding. You could have meatbag. You could do, you know, merch stuff. Anyway, what point being that the other thing about that is that the framework that you're putting it through, the lens you're looking at it is who are my friends versus who are Delaney's friends, right? And like I said, that should naturally look like she's going to have 5 bridesmaids and I'm going to have 5 grooms, you know, that kind of thing, whether you were or weren't. But that's generally what you're doing here. And the truth is, I'm one of your best damn friends. We've been, you know, sorry, not sorry, apologizing for that, at least since the beginning of the podcast. But probably how weird it would be just socially to invite me, just me, to be one of your groomsmen. You know,
right.
And it gets
totally.
weird because partly because how could you not invite my son and my ex-husband? You know what? My sons, but one of them lives in France, right? Because that's part of your relationship with me is also deep connections between you and my family and me and your family, your brothers and your mom, you know? Yeah, that's funny. It
is funny. And it's
but
also
it would be
funny.
so weird if I was like just there, like, I just actually want to picture it for a minute. Let's pretend that we are looking at groomsmen and bridesmaids, and the girls have their dresses on, the guys, and then I'm just there in a tux and a black sport. Creepy.
That'd be pretty funny.
Well, I mean, obviously I'm heartbroken that we don't get to be there, but I'm heartbroken for you guys that you're having to make these difficult decisions. And actually, I think we just pretty much proved beyond any fallacy that I should actually be on the short list.
Well, so I guess another place to take this, when I think about significant relationships, people that I've really shared a lot of myself and my life with, these people are no longer in my life necessarily, because we went to different colleges, they moved away, they're doing their own thing now, and like our friends now, they're not Delaney's friends and they're not my friends, they're our friends.
Sure.
And these are very young relationships, but also the people that seem most appropriate to invite, right? These are...
Oh, yeah, sure. And the people you are likely to be aligned with and hang out with in the next few years.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, because they're couple friends. Yeah, that's interesting, right?
And it's like...
Yeah.
It's the wedding is a very weird way to kind of gauge... I mean, you can look at it so many different ways. Like my best friend from middle school... I'm sure that at one point we promised each other we'd be in each other's weddings, right?
Sure.
And at some point that falls away and they become a head count, and you haven't really kept up with them in 10 years. And right, but those were formative years, and that was an important relationship, right?
I know.
And now it's like, I don't know, it's a different thing, and it's something that when we made our initial guest list, it was easy. Because a lot of the invites are dictated by family, right? This person gets invited because they're a cousin, and then you can kind of draw a good hard line. You say, Delaney hasn't met this person, or I haven't met this person, so they're out, right? If they haven't been, if they haven't been important enough to see us in the last 2.5 years, then they don't make the cut. And then we did that again for this. And this cut, I think, is more simple because it is such a larger cut, right? We can make this cut, immediate family, grandparents, that's it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of forced me to reopen the thing and say, well, what about the extra friends? Who would those people be?
Yeah. Okay. So who would those people be? And then, like you just described, let's continue to unpack it a little bit. Like you said, the middle school friend of mine who was a formative part of my life. As you know, my favorite, we're getting into territory that I hate, which is making these distinctions at all, right? For a party like my kid's graduation party, for most parties that I've ever thrown in my life, my goal, my desire is to be as much as like everybody can come. If you can't come, no hard feelings. If you can, great. Like for real, everybody. Yeah, if you want to bring a friend, bring a friend. But as we've talked about, I am much more comfortable with that, right? Cross-contamination of friend groups. Mm-hmm. I love it. And it feels weird to you. It feels like mixing your food together on the plate to some people, right? And I'm like, no, I love it. This person will love that person or whatever. So I love most of all when you can just go, especially with something like a graduation party where it's like, it's in the backyard. It's going to be beautiful and fun, but it's not fancy. I mean, it took a ton of work and a ton of planning, but it's not fancy, and it's enough that, like, we're just going to order a bunch of food. We have a general idea of who's coming, but if 50 more people come, God bless it, right? That's my favorite way to throw a party, don't you think?
Sure, I agree.
But, yeah. And then, so then when it gets down to drawing lines of distinction, which you have to, and especially in this case, you super have to, and everybody will understand, and that's the truth. Nobody's going to be hurt by it, that not getting the invitation. However, you do preclude anybody from getting hurt feelings when you just say it is literally just family. Then you don't choose the 5 friends. But some of those 5 friends might be hurt to not be invited. Look, what I am, when you're talking about this and you're doing something here where you're just thinking about what do relationships mean and what formed me, right? That's the other thing about a party like that, like for my boys, where it was like everybody who's ever met these kids can come. So then you look around and we go, we're seeing people from every walk of our life, from the last nearly 20 years of our life, who have known our children in all these different ways. That's a beautiful thing. And that's, I think, in your mind, maybe what you should be doing at your wedding is looking out and going, this is my community. This is who raised us and formed us and brought us to where we are today. And now we're going to go forward together with your commission. There's a lot of that about a wedding.
Your commission and also your support.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we all will be here for you. But that's part of the wedding, is to acknowledge that and look out at the multitudes and think, okay, thanks for getting us here. Here we go. Right.
I agree. And one of the things I'm wary of from a previous episode, you mentioned that one of the things that you think may have doomed your wedding, your marriage from the beginning, was that you eloped. Right.
We didn't. You're not doing. That's different.
I'm very conscientious of this community aspect of, we Delaney and I vowed to love and support each other, and we also vow to, be a part of this community, be leaders, participants, whatever. It's one big happy. It takes a village. That kind of thinking, right? This wedding is not us in isolation. It's all of us together.
Yeah. Okay, that was a good monologue that you just did, because then I cried, and I think I'm back, so you're not actively crying. You will, I guarantee that everybody you've sent the save the date postcard is going to be with you in spirit no matter what you do. I would like to encourage, and if you want, I would like to help. Because of that, invite something. People will automatically think of you on your wedding day, I should think, and send a gift or send a card like we're thinking of you because we were once invited and we understand, and they're going to feel for you. You might invite a thing where when you send us all the thing that says, sorry, this is your Un-vitation.
Your Un-vitation.
You might do, like, on your wedding website or whatever, please write there's little things that you would do at the reception that are kind of cheesy, but you would do anyway. Like, write a little thing for the bride and groom, write a funny thing, write a piece of advice, that kind of thing. You might do something more formalized like that. Like, we're so sorry you can't be with us. We will treasure it if you send us something about, that. God, Andrew, I mean, that's right. You can do that. You can have some Zoom portion of it where people can dial in and watch you for your first dance or something. I would love that. Some of us would love that, Anyway, that's, okay, back to the picking, the delineating and the making of choices, and then thinking about what did relationships mean and all of that. I, in the past month, have seen two friends of mine from when I was much younger. One I've known since 5th grade. He continued to live for a while in the family town where a lot of my dad's family was, where I lived, and then we moved away. I moved around a lot as a kid, right? And I have stayed in touch with him over the years, but not on the reg, And he has a lovely wife and 2 grown daughters, and I have 2 grown sons, and we rarely see each other. Haven't seen him in years. He did reach out right as my dad was dying because he had heard something about it. Knew my dad, certainly. Anyway, we had 4 or 5 hours together. He just flew in. He was in town. We actually went out paddleboarding and had dinner, and that was it. Took him to his hotel, and he was leaving the next day. And then another friend from high school, middle school and high school. So I've known him since I'm 14. And same thing. He was in town for a bunch of other things. His father just died, so he was here dealing with some of that. And just had him over to the dollhouse for a few hours. We had a little charcuterie, drank a couple beers, caught up. So interesting to hang out with people like that because, A, they reflect myself back at me from who I was in high school and, earlier. Same, seeing them. It's just such an interesting thing. So that's an age thing and a geographic thing because that guy from high school, he lives in California now. Never see him. I don't think I saw him from high school until my 30th high school reunion. I don't know what the day is, what the year is. But anyway, we went to that a few years ago, and he, whatever. Like, that's when you just kind of reconnected with people because the reunion was coming up, and see him on Facebook and Instagram, whatever, right? Haven't seen him since. He's stayed in touch a little bit, like here and there, a text, whatever. It's just interesting. So that's like geographical difference. People haven't seen, and yet you get together with them. We all know this. This is not something unique that you get together with that friend, and it's like we talked like we hadn't, like no time had elapsed. A good friend like that. But also there is this thing of like, and then like part of my childhood was on Maui, and then I didn't go back for so long that some of it felt like a dream. Some of my memories, because I haven't seen these places again, feel like, but I have very specific memories of people and places and things and moments of my life. So it's just funny whenever I encounter these like friendships and relationships from long past and go, I guess I'm just getting at that formative for me. You helped form my life, and I must have had an impact on yours. And, oh boy, there's a Beatles song that's coming right to the fore here that might have to go into the show. What is it? In my life, there's that thing, people and
In
things.
my life.
It's perfect for your wedding because it's saying like people and things that have come before, and I treasure them and I love them. But in my life, I've loved you more. So it's a love song to your girl, the one who is your primary relationship. But that's a funny thing when we're looking at valuing, evaluating, figuring out what are these relationships and what are they worth to me. And then when you get down to like, right now I have to weigh them and put them in a spreadsheet to figure out if you can come to my wedding or not, it gets kind of funny. But the truth is what you're doing is sifting through your life, which is appropriate on the occasion of your wedding, and saying, yeah, like you said, we're going to need you guys as support going forward. And you are. So that's great. I think, yeah, do something. Or if you're going to send out a normal, like an Un-vitation card, what are you going to do?
Well, I mean, like I said, we got to discuss it tonight and figure out what the
you don't know the
plan
numbers.
is.
Yeah.
And then once we figure out the big vision, then it's all details from there.
Yeah. So, if you're going to send out a formal card again that says this is your Un-vitation, maybe like you would have a response card that, you say, give us a memory, give us your favorite quote. You can ask for whatever you want, but I think people will be more than usually willing to participate, and they're always willing to participate in that shit. In fact, because you guys don't have, a proper registry, you were just going to ask for cash. I've thought about that a lot because it's like, damn it, what you are doing is preventing us from getting you something that makes you think of us every day, right? I mean, that's kind of where you buy somebody a wedding gift, like, I'm going to get them their china or whatever. And every time they have a fancy dinner, they're going to think of whatever it is. So if you ask explicit, send us the cash, thank you, as planned. And also give us, whatever, a direct ask for send us your wishes, or we're going to make a scrapbook. We're going to print out this stuff. We're going to inscribe it all on a quilt. Think of some cool project. That's very Leslie Knope to do a unity building quilt.
Sure.
Honestly, we could inscribe it all on clay tiles if you want. Listen. I have a million ideas of how you can do this, but you will feel the love of the community there that day, especially because you didn't just decide to elope. I mean, back to why I say that I regretted that. We did have the moment when we got married of saying, pausing and sort of saying, we acknowledge all the people who aren't here. And when we look out at this little empty Elvis chapel, we see those people who aren't here in person, da-da-da. And then we had celebrations when we got back home. So, but, like I said, I just think that we didn't take it seriously enough. And you are already acknowledging that is one of the bummers about this wedding getting at least made smaller, is that you're not going to have that feeling, but you will. You'll find a way to do it. And Delaney's creative and lovely, and she'll find a way to make it wonderful. Yeah. By the way, I would like to also submit that I have a pretty good camera and a mask.
That's good for you. But we've already replaced the photographer.
I just feel like probably I might have to I might climb a ladder. I might get a drone to fly over the fence. It's just hard to tell, Andrew.
The biggest question right now is where it's going to happen.
I know.
And I had the moment where the venue responded, and they said, if you cancel and Colorado does not issue a second stay-at-home order, the event could have been planned. We'll refund 92% of your venue fee, which is a lot of money.
That is.
And I was like, no brainer. Cancel that. We're done there. But then I was like, well, you got, the venue is important because it's Delaney's been picturing the wedding, and
sure,
I've been picturing the wedding, and it'd be nice to have pictures of our wedding not in my parents' backyard, although my parents' backyard is beautiful.
It's beautiful, and you have a new thing. I
And
mean,
we got a whole new thing. But like, there's still, I suppose there are still decisions to be made. And I guess what I'm happy about is Delaney and I are both employed. We can make these decisions without a gun to our head financially.
yeah.
I don't know. We're in a good spot, and even though things suck in my cold open, it's no fun to look at all your friends and family as virus spreading meatbags. I think that's got to be the title of this one
For sure.
and
also then to rank them in terms of all of it. That's really an interesting task, dude. I want to point out that one of my cousins got married in parents' backyard. I think his parents' backyard. My daddy went up to that wedding at the time. I mean, this is, oh gosh, they've been married, I'm sure, 25 years, 30 years. Beautiful. They're still happily married. And that's Monica and Mike. And they got married in the backyard. And my father came back, couldn't shut up about what a beautiful wedding it was. Because they had flowers and hanging baskets, and it was just a small family thing. Obviously, if my dad was there, it was bigger than just immediate family because that's an uncle. But I mean, to tell you, it's funny. It's still remarkable that my father, just for like a year, would say, "Oh, Monica's wedding was so beautiful. You should have seen the roses. You should have seen the flowers." And I don't know. To me, there's something just lovely about a backyard wedding with your family, and your mom would make it wonderful. And their marriage is still real happy, as far as I know. So I wouldn't suggest it otherwise. I'm just saying because I don't want to put any bad juju on your thing.
Yeah, and that's the fear, right? Yeah, I don't want any bad juju, and I'm very conscious as we discuss these things, right? I don't want anything about our wedding to be to cause a rift between us, right? I don't want to have any disagreements over dumb things like colors, because that's what we'll remember.
Yeah, but you guys have been doing a good job of that, haven't you? About pretty agreeable.
Yeah, I think Delaney's frustration with me would be that I'm too agreeable.
Yeah, she wants more of an opinion. Like, what's been your dream of this? What's your vision of this? And you go, I literally don't have one.
Right. Right. I'm agreeable to the point of unhelpfulness, I think.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that. I last Friday in my opening monologue of the comedy show of the Big Joke Festival, I worked in something that I came up with that you were aware of long ago, part of the Mama Bear stuff. And I think it applies here and always. I used to say, don't get bitter, get better. And I always kind of I just knew there's something there. Like, what do I do with it? In fact, I kind of envisioned merch or something with that. I just always thought it was something, and then kind of haven't done anything with it. And the other night I wrapped my entire comedy set into that. It's like one of these things, it can be overdone and too cutesy, but I realized in some of my recent material, it was a helpful sort of wrap to the whole thing to say, I've been telling you, I start with or you've heard it. I know I look like I'm here to talk to the manager. And then I would go, you know what? I'm feeling a little unhinged. And then I could keep the unhinged. Just, it's just a cheap little callback at the end. Like, maybe that's why I'm so unhinged. It seems like a good little taggy thing. It's a device, and it's kind of cheesy, but it works. And this don't get bitter, get better works for almost every, it can be a setup, a cheap little transition, right? Like I can say, but whatever. It works so well for my material. And I'm seriously envisioning that's a cool coffee cup.
Sure, it's a coffee cup. It's a Netflix special. It's everything.
That is
everything.
Chalk.
I'm here for this, Mrs. Filholm.
Okay, yes, queen. I think that's good. So that's what I'm just going to say about the whole wedding thing. Don't get bitter, get better, and you will, and we all will.
Mrs. Filholm, as
Ruckus,
always,
right?
You have the best advice.
Well,
always.
That's maybe not true, but I wish I could get paid for it, but we'll see. Oh, my God. Okay,
Goodbye,
well,
Mrs.
Andrew,
Filholm.
I'm not kidding. Hold on. Just let me give you one little seriously, good luck tonight. These are big, challenging decisions, but you two, you've got this, and we are all here. We are all standing by you for real, no matter if it's virtual or no.
Delaney and I appreciate it. We feel the love, and we couldn't be more blessed, I suppose. We've got great people in our corner.
Blessed. No
the best
shit.
people. Tremendous.
Tremendous. All right. Bye, Andrew.
Bye, Mrs. Filholm.